phone vibrated at 11:47 p.m. Not a call, just a text. I caught the slightest movement as she glanced at it before she could stop herself. A blink was enough. She didn't reach for it. She didn't have to. She already knew the message. We sat at opposite ends of the couch, the television muttering to nobody. The room carried the smell of the meal I'd made and she'd barely touched. She drew a slow breath, like someone bracing to step into icy water. I need to figure out whether size actually matters, she said, easy, rehearsed. You'll never know. Don't worry. I waited for the joke. It never arrived. My pulse didn't jump. It leveled, straight and calm, like a line ruled on paper. Okay, I said. That was all. She blinked, once, twice, as if I'd missed my cue to crack. Then she smiled, relieved, almost triumphant. The phone buzzed again. I watched its glow brush her face while she pretended not to notice. Somewhere inside me, things shifted quietly into a new order. We've been married 9 years, long enough to recognize each other's breathing, long enough to hear when a sentence has been practiced. This one had. She explained it as if it were a study. No names, no specifics, curiosity framed as candor. I just need to be certain, she said. It isn't about you. That's usually how lies get their start. I nodded and asked if she wanted tea. Inside, a counter began ticking, not numbers, signals. Longer showers. Sleeping with her phone tucked beneath the pillow. Girls' nights suddenly requiring a new dress. I didn't ask questions. Questions alert people. I observed instead. Her laugh had changed, sharper, younger, like borrowed confidence. She stopped touching me entirely, not with revulsion but with neutrality, as if the experiment demanded a control. I slept lightly, not from fear but from attention. The night she said she was going out, she kissed my cheek and told me not to wait. I told her to enjoy herself. She left smiling. I stayed awake. I don't believe in coincidences. So when her cloud backup synced to the home server, something she didn't know I'd configured, I didn't feel lucky. I felt confirmed. Messages. Flirtations stripped of romance. Comparisons tossed off like grocery lists. A name repeated often enough to feel familiar. A man from before me living nearby. I didn't read everything at once. I copied, letting truth drip instead of pour. I checked dates and places against the nights she'd said she was with friends. I pulled call logs. Nothing theatrical, just patterns. Then I did something else. I invited someone over, not him, her sister. I asked simple questions about the old days, about people she used to mention, names she once defended too fiercely. One name made her sister hesitate. I thanked her and saw her out. By then, the outline was unmistakable. This wasn't curiosity. It was revival. The following Friday, she came home after midnight. I stood in the dark kitchen, listening as the lock turned. The door opened. She froze because I wasn't alone. The man beside me was older, taller, composed in the way men become after consequences. Her father. He'd arrived an hour earlier. I told him enough. Shown him enough. He looked at her as though witnessing the last chapter of a story he'd hoped wouldn't repeat. What's happening? She whispered. I handed her my phone. The messages were open, highlighted, annotated. She didn't scroll far. Color drained from her face. This isn't, she began. Her father lifted a hand. She stopped. I spoke then, quiet and even. You wanted to test a theory, I said. So did I. I slid another envelope across the counter. Divorce papers completed, assets listed, her signature line waiting. I needed to see whether respect really matters. I went on. You'll never know how long I knew. Don't worry. She sank into a chair. Her father remained standing. I didn't raise you this way, he said, no anger, just disappointment honed to an edge. She reached for me. I stepped back. That single movement undid her more than any speech could. She tried to negotiate, to apologize, to rewrite the past. I listened. Then I told her the part she didn't anticipate. He was never coming here, I said. I didn't want a scene. I wanted clarity. She looked up, confused. I already know what he looks like, I added. And it was never about size. Her mouth opened, then closed. It was about emptiness, I finished. And that's something you carried with you. Her father asked if I needed anything. I said no. He hugged me once, harder than necessary, then left. I stayed long enough to pack, not angrily but methodically. When I reached the door, she was on the kitchen floor, crying softly. I didn't turn back. Some experiments don't require outcomes. They require conclusions. Outside, the night air felt neutral, honest. As I walked to my car, it occurred to me. She wanted to measure herself against someone else to feel larger. I measured the truth and found exactly what I needed. I drove off without music, without regret. Only space and silence that finally belonged to me.